You're listening to the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex,
And I'm Sam.
and we are the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hello, baddies. What's going on?
What up? What up?
How was your weekend, Lex?
It was very good. I was in Myrtle Beach for a friend of mine's bachelorette party.
I love a bachelorette party.
It was fun. It was a good time.
Very nice. So, my husband's little sister, aka my little sister, is graduating high school this year. What up, Riley? And she's doing all the fun high school stuff, like senior all night party, graduation, prom, all that kind of fun stuff right now. So I was thinking back to when we were in high school, Lex, and I did a little research, and I want to ask you some questions about the years of our graduations.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's start with you since you are first and older. We're going back to 2009.
Woo woo! I was the last year to be an O something.
You were. So, what do you think the number one song of the time was? I have top three.
Ooh, okay. Number one song of 2009. I feel like it's got to be I feel like hip hop was like really big at that time. Ooh, maybe some, I don't know.
Take a wild guess.
I'm trying to think of like what songs I listened to in high school and I'm drawing a blank. Maybe like Akon.
So, the number one song was Boom Boom Pow by the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, the Black Eyed Peas were huge during that time. I should have guessed that.
Number two was Poker Face Lady Gaga.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that song.
And three was Just Dance by Lady Gaga and Colby O'Donis.
Lady Gaga with two number ones.
Yeah, Lady Gaga was coming in clutch. And only
Just
cut.
dance. It'll be okay. Do, 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 do.
Coming in at number five was Love Story by Taylor Swift. Had to look for Taylor
Ah,
Swift.
T Swizzy.
What do you think the number one movie was in 2009? Number one grossing film?
2009. Is that when like Paranormal Activity came out?
I don't know. That's not the answer.
What is the answer?
Avatar.
Ew. Oh,
Did you ever
actually,
see
I've
it?
never seen it. I've never seen it. I've
Neither
just
did
never
I.
been interested.
And then what was a fashion trend of 2009? Last question.
That was like when scene slash emo kids were really in. It was like the side swept side bangs, the headband, skinny jeans were making their come around.
That's what I got. Skinny jeans for girls and boys.
And that was like right around the time leggings started becoming, because there was that like debate at schools like leggings aren't pants. They used to not want us to wear leggings because they weren't pants, they were tights.
We had to wear them like tights.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to my graduation time. So 2012, what? You were a junior in college?
Yeah, because I graduated in 13.
So what was the number one song, do you think, for Sam's high school senior year?
I feel like because 2012 was like when the world was supposed to end, right?
That is correct.
um, and what was that song? It was like everybody's class song that year about the world ending.
Ours
Because
was
baby,
Party
tonight.
Like It's 2012. Isn't that a song?
No, it's like we're gonna party like it's the end of the world. We're gonna party like it's 2012.
So
It was
no.
the what?
Go ahead. You were gonna
No,
sing
I
it.
can't sing it. I can't sing it. I'm too embarrassed.
But somebody that I used to know by, how
Oh,
do I say that? Gautier?
I think so.
That was a big popular one. Coming in hot at number two, Call Me Maybe by Carly
Oh,
Rae Jepsen.
Carly Rae.
And then We Are Young, which was by Fun featuring Janelle Monáe.
I loved that song.
Oh, that's such a good
Tonight,
one. Um,
we are young. Let's set the world on fire. Baby go, ah, yeah.
Wow, lovely. Not a great year for T Swift. She was coming in at number 33. We are never getting back together.
Oh,
What do you think the top grossing film of 2012 was?
2012. Twilight, the fourth one. Didn't that come out in 2012?
I have no idea. It was The Avengers.
Oh, of course it was.
Yes. And then give me one fashion trend from 2012, baby.
Chunky necklaces.
Yes, statement necklaces was the one. But then I also had to put peplum tops. Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were cute. I don't think I would go back, but they were cute.
Nah, they did not look good on my body type. In
That
case you were wondering, Twilight Breaking Dawn came out in 2011. So
you were a
I was
year
close.
behind.
I thought that would be the top grossing movie, but God, that was so popular at the time.
But if you are graduating high school, congrats, or hopefully we took you back to some good times and
Comment below with your graduation year and your song, top movie, and some fashion trends from when you graduated.
yay! Hopefully that's a nice start to a terrible, terrible, terrible case that Lexi is going to put me through.
Today, we are going to talk about a tough case. While no one dies in this story, I do want to give a trigger warning for child abuse. Today, we are going to discuss Eight Passengers, the Franke family story.
Ugh.
Our story starts with Ruby Griffiths. Ruby was born in January of 1982. I tried so hard to look into her childhood and what her life was like growing up, but I can't find anything at all. At all.
That's so weird.
Especially with how big this case blew up. It's crazy to me that nobody came out and was like, this is how she was when she was a child.
Yeah.
In the year 2000, Ruby married Kevin Franke, who was a professor of engineering at Brigham Young University. They were very devout Mormons. Together, they had 6 children. Her 2 oldest children are named Shari and Chad. Because the other siblings are minors, I'm not going to use their name in this podcast. I also do want to be respectful. I read Shari Franke's book, The House of My Mother, A Daughter's Quest for Freedom. It was so good. I highly recommend it. I listened to it and she reads it and it's very good. But anyway, in it, she chooses not to share their names to protect them. And I think, like, as an older sister, I definitely get wanting to just protect your siblings because they weren't protected a lot of their life from the public eye.
Yeah, that's very sweet. And like, if they want to tell a story eventually, they can, but like, I'm not going to make this their story.
Yes. So in 2015, Ruby started a YouTube vlog called Eight Passengers. There was 8 of them in their family. Her channel became very popular, like very popular. At its height, the channel had 2.5 million subscribers
Oh my
and
goodness.
they were making over $100,000 a month.
A month?
A month.
Holy cannoli.
Something that I did not know is that in the Mormon faith, it's encouraged to document everything. People of the Mormon faith tend to keep journals to document things. And as a missionary, this was a perfect way for Ruby to share her faith with others. Ruby literally felt called by God to do this.
Okay.
Shari recalls that in her memoir, her mom was always one to dole out cruel punishments. Shari says that she would yell a lot, and it seemed that she could not control her emotions. And she also could not handle her children showing any emotions at all. Sometimes Ruby would go as far as to hurt her children. During Shari's piano lessons at just 6 years old, Ruby would hit Shari, but never hard enough to leave bruises.
Ugh, I hate this.
Ruby seemed to take more of an eye for an eye approach with discipline. Once, Chad, being a little brother, ran by and cut off a chunk of Shari's hair, which, like, if Jake would have done that to me, I would have killed him.
Oh, I would have lost it.
But Ruby punished Chad by shaving a reverse mohawk on his head.
I get so uncomfortable when that's a punishment that parents do, like anything about like cutting hair or doing something like that. I think that's just very uncomfortable. I don't like that at all.
Once the vlog started, Shari realized if she participated and put on a happy face, she could win Ruby's affections. Of course, all a child really wants is their mother's approval. Also, staying on Ruby's good side meant staying out of trouble.
Ugh.
As Shari became a teenager, she also started her own YouTube channel with Ruby's guidance. However, Ruby told her that she had to earn her first 10,000 followers herself before Ruby would shout her out on the Eight Passengers channel.
That's a little bit insane.
It's
What?
just an interesting approach. Shari admits that she exploited her siblings for views on her channel to earn her mom's acceptance. These are her words, though. I don't think that Shari exploited her siblings. I think she was a child, and this was the only life that she's ever known.
I think that's so sad because I think you're right. And I think she probably feels so much guilt and is almost like comparing herself to her mom for exploiting them. And that's what she knew. That's not, she was a young child. That's nothing that she should think ever.
Yes. As Shari got older, she learned about depression in one of her classes. She realized from all the symptoms that she was depressed. She talked to her dad about it, and he was really supportive of her. And they actually ended up finding a therapist for Shari, and she really started to open up to this therapist. However, one day Shari got home, and her mom told her that the therapist called and said that Shari was all better, and the therapist wouldn't see Shari anymore.
What?
After that, both her mother and father were like, you could just get better with diet, exercise, and prayer. So Shari's concerns were dismissed, which left Shari to deal with depression alone with no resources.
Which is awful, especially when she's like feeling better and she's enjoying talking to her therapist. And then it's just like, nope, you're fine. Bye.
Yeah. And I think, especially because she started opening up about her mom to that therapist. And I think probably once that therapist approached her mom about that stuff, she was just like, oh, you're better.
100%.
No
She was
more
trying to save
therapy.
herself. Yep.
Yeah. You're not allowed to talk about our family secrets. In 2019, Ruby was really struggling with Chad. Chad no longer wanted to participate in the videos. He would give Ruby a hard time about it. Chad and Shari both reported that Ruby would beat Chad until he bled.
Oh my God. Oof.
Chad was also expelled from school at this time. And Ruby and Kevin just like did not know what to do. They were losing control. So someone they knew recommended a counselor, Jody Hildebrandt. So who is Jody Hildebrandt? Jody was a therapist. Yes, was a therapist. In 2012, her therapy license was suspended.
Oh boy.
Coincidentally, right around the same time, she started Connections Classroom. She claimed it was the solution for anybody experiencing feelings of pain relating to relationship problems, anxiety, fear, or depression. So the website had a bunch of classes that you could take, and you could also become a coach, which was very MLMA.
I was going to say that this sounds very familiar.
Oh, and all of this, everything, the classes, becoming a coach, that all costs thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars to someone who was literally stripped of their licensure.
I don't understand that. Like, oh, I don't have my license anymore, so now let me scam a bunch of people.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. Right.
God.
Jody was also divorced and estranged from her own children.
Oh God.
One of the ways Jody decided to help Chad, oh, send him away to a wilderness school for a bit.
Hey, I'm getting nervous.
When Jody was Chad's counselor, Ruby started the training to become a connections coach, which again cost thousands of dollars. Ruby and Jody also started an Instagram page together called Moms of Truth, where they gave parenting advice and spiritual guidance. It's actually still active, the account. A lot of this stuff is taken down, but the Moms of Truth Instagram is still up. So if you want to check that out, the link is in the bio, not the bio,
The show
the show
notes.
notes. Ruby was completely bought into all of Jody's philosophies. Shari, though, felt that something was off. So she researched Jody and found out that she lost her license and that she was divorced and estranged from her own children.
Good for Sherry.
And when Shari tried to confront her mom about this, her mom just like kind of shrugged it off and insisted that Shari too needed counseling.
Oh, of course. Oh, mom, I was in counseling and you took me out. So,
Yeah. but not connections.
Ugh.
Jody did end up counseling Shari as well. One of like Jody's methods where she instructed Shari to write down and analyze every flaw about herself daily. Like when Shari's talking in her book, she's talking about like she would be like, I had a negative thought 13 times today. I had this kind of thought this many times today. I put myself above others 3 times today.
That is so problematic.
Obviously, when a child who is struggling with depression is beat down and forced to only think about these thoughts, she ends up believing in Jody and her teachings.
Yeah, that's a great way to manipulate people. This is how terrible you are. Now let me help you.
I literally said Jody was so manipulative. And she reminds me, and Shari says it in her book too, of a cult leader.
Yes, I was thinking that while you were talking. Like, this seems like a start of a cult.
Yeah, it's very cult like tactics. So Shari even began to like challenge her teachers and her classmates with Jody's teachings and beliefs. She would like call him out on stuff that Jody was calling her out on. And this obviously causes a high schooler to lose all their friends because that's very off putting behavior when you're in high school.
Yes, 100%. And she was just manipulated. It's not, ugh, I hate this.
Shari did report that once Jody was in the picture, her mom stopped yelling and was much more in control of her emotions.
So then she's probably also seeing that as, oh, it's working. Mom's not screaming
Yes.
like she always does.
However, the punishments do start to become more of psychological torture. In June of 2020, the Franke family's world gets rocked. In an 8 passengers video, Chad mentions that he was sleeping on a beanbag chair in the basement. This had been going on for 7 months. As part of a punishment, he lost his privileges to his bed.
What the fudge?
This is when viewers start to realize that something is wrong. This punishment seemed to walk the line of abuse.
100%.
The channel quickly lost subscribers and 90% of their income.
I gotta say, good on the. I'm sure this made Ruby spiral that you're gonna tell us, but good on the people to be like, we're not supporting this. If you're gonna be doing things like that,
So Ruby was advised by a lawyer to just like apologize and be like, I'm sorry, I took that one too far. And she refused. In fact, she like doubled down on her beliefs.
why?
People started to scrutinize other videos as well. And some of these videos, I think some of the ones I'm going to talk about right now is I don't know that they were on the channel at the time, but they've been found since. Some of them might have been on. There is a documentary you can watch. I just like could not make myself watch it because I didn't want to watch these videos. In one video, she threatens to cut off the head of one of the children's teddy bears because they accidentally ruined something that belonged to someone else.
That's disgustingly evil.
In a video taken on Christmas, the two youngest children watched as everyone opened presents but them. And that was part of their punishment was they weren't allowed to open presents on Christmas. But I had to watch
They're
everybody else.
children. Like what could they have possibly done where they have to sit there and watch everybody open presents and be happy and not be able to do anything?
Exactly. In yet another video, she talks about how it is her children's responsibility to make themselves lunch in the morning. They have to pack their own lunch and bring it to school. This is great. Give them a sense of responsibility, blah, 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 blah. But one day, the school calls Ruby and says, one of your kids didn't bring a lunch today. And Ruby said, well, it's that child's responsibility to bring the lunch. I will not be bringing them a lunch up. In fact, I hope no one else gives her food in order to learn her lesson.
You are a psycho person. You are a psycho, evil, evil person. That's disgusting. I hope they
Yeah,
gave her food.
I'm sure the school did. I can't
Good.
imagine that a teacher would
Especially
listen to
after
that
that.
and
Yeah.
starve the child. I know, like, if I were a teacher, I'd go buy that kid McDonald's for lunch that day.
Oh my God, yeah.
Things get even stranger in August of 2021. Jody moves in with the Frankies.
What?
Jody has told Ruby and Kevin that her house had a satanic presence. She believed that demons were engaged in spiritual warfare against her. And Ruby and Kevin believed that Jody was possessed by a demon.
I have no words. Absolutely none. They
This is
said,
the point
"You're
of the
possessed
story
by
where
a
it gets,
demon. Come live with us."
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's because she's like doing all this connections work and all this counseling, and their Instagram page is all so godly that these demons are trying to prevent her from doing it, basically.
So, okay, sure.
Ruby becomes so concerned about Jody that they start sharing a room
Together?
together.
Where's her husband?
Not in that room.
This is messy.
When Shari returned home from college, she wasn't allowed to enter her own room to get stuff because that's where Jody and Ruby were staying. She had to make an appointment with them to get any of her stuff.
What?
Once, when Shari saw the inside of the room, she noticed a lot of candles and massage oils.
They were doing it.
Next, Ruby and Jody make Kevin and Chad move out of the house.
What?
Jody said that Kevin had inappropriate thoughts and he needed to work on himself without talking to anyone else in the family before he could come back.
So she's exiling Ruby's husband.
Yes. And Ruby's husband is like, you know what? You're right. I got to work on myself. I won't talk to family anymore. I'll move out. Take Chad with me.
The older son, right?
Yeah, the oldest brother. He's younger than Cherry, but the oldest brother.
Which is not great either because obviously the dad was around during all of this. So he's not stopping any abuse. He's letting all this go on. So it's like not a better situation for Chad either. But
And
okay.
he's just like, okay, I'll leave the house, my children and my wife, and never talk to them again until I'm better.
Yeah, I'm never going to talk to my children again. You're right. Random lady who got to stay in her house now. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So Sherry's away at college. She's devastated when she hears about this. Devastated. So she attempts to reach out to Kevin and Chad, and they ignore her because Ruby instructed them to. In fact, do you remember Kevin is a professor at Brigham Young University?
Yes.
Sherry is a student at Brigham Young University.
And he's not talking to
She
her.
runs into her dad on campus one time, and he will not talk to her.
How devastating. I can't even imagine that. She's like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" And he just is like,
Yeah. Sherry starts to suspect that the relationship between Ruby and Jody was more intimate than just friends and business partners.
I mean, yeah.
On one occasion, when the house was empty, Sherry snuck in to get some of her stuff back. She went through her mother's computer, and her suspicions were correct. Ruby and Jody's relationship did end up turning physical. Sherry found journal entries and emails in which Ruby expressed her frustration about having to cater to Jody's needs for physical affection without getting anything in return.
What did you want in return?
It sounds like this is a very one sided relationship.
Okay. So this,
Sounds like Jody was very manipulative and made Ruby serve her in all the ways that she thought she wanted to be served.
this is just insane. Like Ruby was already problematic as can be, and now she's becoming even more problematic because this even more problematic crazy lady is in the house. It's just like these poor children. I want to scream. I want to hug them, and it's just literally making me so angry and upset. And the dad's a little turd. Sorry, you're doing nothing.
After Kevin moved out, Ruby would go spend extended period of time at Jody's house, leaving the kids alone for days.
Okay.
And neighbors would call Sherry and report this. They'd be like, yo, I see the kids peeking out from the windows. Ruby and Jody haven't been home in days. Sherry attempts to get the police involved. So the police go there, but the children, as instructed, would not open the door for the police. And they weren't allowed to enter without a warrant, which they could not get.
How? How? How?
I don't know. I
And
don't know.
also,
This, like,
neighbors, that's good you're calling Sherry, but also call the police and call CPS and make all the
I,
reports.
I think they were doing that also.
Okay. Okay.
There was a lot of CPS reports made, and this is where the system failed.
Yes, because if there's all these CPS reports, how are you not opening the door? There's no adult coming in the door. You only see children. There's a bunch of people reporting their own sister is calling you, knows what's going on in the house, and you don't open the darn door.
When finding out that Shari called Child Protective Services, Ruby disowned Shari.
How did you find out?
I'm not sure. Shari stayed connected to the family through the neighbors' accounts of what was going on.
Oh
But
my
then
God.
she finds out that Ruby is packing up the family home. Shari is terrified that they're going to move to Jody's, where she doesn't have any neighbors to inform her about what's going on with her siblings.
And this poor girl's in college trying to start her life, and this is what she's dealing with.
Yeah. And I left out a lot of the stuff that Shari personally was dealing with at this time, like besides this, because I just wanted to make this more about the family. But I highly recommend reading Shari's book because she's also dealing with a lot of other stuff at the time. And it's just like so much on one person. Everything changed, though, in August of 2023 when a young boy shows up on his neighbor's porch. He is very thin. He has deep wounds and duct tape around his legs.
Oh,
He asked through the ring camera to be taken to a police station. So the woman at the house comes out and gives him some water while a man inside calls the police. Police arrived and learned that he had climbed out a window where he was being held captive with his 10-year-old sister. This young boy is one of Ruby's children.
I literally want to cry.
Jody and Ruby are arrested,
Thank God.
and Ruby called Kevin to come get the kids. And when she calls him to come get the kids, she tells him that they're demonically possessed and she can't even imagine what they're lying about.
Oh my God.
Jody's home was searched and they found rope, handcuffs, medical gauze, and a mixture of cayenne pepper and honey in a safe room. They found a journal in which Ruby documented everything she did to try to exorcise the children. The two youngest children were the only ones kept at Jody's. The two middle children were at a neighbor's,
They like moved in with a neighbor.
apparently.
So, okay.
The son had told the police about their torture, which included standing on hot pavement, being held down by weights, and being dropped off in the desert and told to run.
What the heck is wrong with those two women?
Ruby and Jody plead guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. Ruby claimed at her sentencing that she was manipulated by Jody. I do believe that she was manipulated by Jody. However, Ruby was abusive before Jody came along, and even being manipulated by someone is no excuse for the way she treated the children.
100% agree, because that's what I was thinking. Yes, there's obviously clear manipulation from this woman to the whole entire family. However, you were abusive before, and as a parent, you need to protect your children. That is your flippin' job. And the fact that there are parents out there that are the tormentors in their children's life, manipulation or not, is disgusting to me. Absolutely makes me want to vomit and beat the crap out of these two women.
Both Ruby and Jody were sentenced to 4 consecutive sessions of 1 to 15 years.
One,
The Utah Board of Pardons and Parole will determine how much jail time they actually serve. However, there is a Utah law about consecutive sessions that will cap their sentences at 30 years.
so the most they will spend in jail is 30 years.
Yes.
No, literally no.
In addition to her book, Shari has used this horrible tragedy to do something good in the world. Shari was essential in drafting a bill that was passed in March of 2025. It's a Utah law that protects child influencers. Under the law, if a family makes more than $150,000 a year from online content with children in it, they are required to set aside 15% of earnings into a trust fund that the child can access when they turn 18.
Yes.
This law also ensures that when children influencers turn 18, they can have any content they appeared in removed from social media platforms if they want to.
Yes, yes, yes. Because 90% of the time, the child is not asking for this, it's the parent.
A child can never fully consent to being online because there's always going to be that pressure of what their parents want and making their parents happy.
Yes.
And that is the story of the Franke family.
Do you know what happened to the dad?
He's in the documentary. He's like rekindled his relationship with his kids.
Like, I feel like he was part of the problem as well.
Yeah, and I think like he can't be charged or anything because he wasn't even living in the house when like the
When that
actual, I mean, they were, of course, there was abuse happening throughout,
before.
but like the clear signs that were caught in the real like torture abuse, he was not. He was gone for a
So
while before that happened, like years.
So apparently, Kevin, I just Googled it and they got divorced, and Kevin did regain custody of the children in an effort to rebuild their relationship. So hopefully, Kevin and the whole entire family is in therapy, and Kevin realizes that he was manipulated and that his parenting before the manipulation was not great either, and that they're healing together. That's the most thing that I can hope in this case.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting. And like I know they were after my time, but they were like really famous, like influencer family that like so many people watched growing up. It just shows you that you never know what's happening behind online.
Social media. Yep. Social
Yes.
media, you can present any kind of story you want to the public and cut out everything that you don't want the public to see. That's why, like, I feel so bad for kids nowadays who are comparing themselves to all these social media people when you're comparing yourselves to the very, very, very best moments of people's lives.
Yes. Yes. Because
And
I
you're not
know,
comparing your best moments, you're comparing your normal life to their best moments
yes. Or comparing the worst picture ever took to someone's best picture or like
or filtered picture.
filtered 100%. But like you can look up to this family and think, oh my God, they're perfect. I wish I was them. And behind closed doors, it's completely disgustingly abusive. I feel like people, especially on social media, need to start having more open and honest conversations. I don't know. I don't know how to fix this issue, but it's an issue.
And I think, like, especially for the kids, I think Shari, who is a certified baddie, is doing
Yes,
everything she can to put through laws that will protect children. And hopefully, other states start passing laws like this as well.
I agree. And I hope that Sherry's very proud of herself and what she did for her siblings and how she tried to stay connected and what she's doing now. I hope that she also heals and realizes that she was not part of the problem. She was a young kid manipulated by the system and her crazy mom and crazy mom's friend, who was also crazy.
Yes.
I hate child abuse cases. They make me cringe with everything in me because, like, again, that's your freaking job as parents, as adults to protect your children. So I'm happy that it's over. I was stressed about this one.
Wow. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to that. Please give us a follow on our social medias. We are on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and the YouTube. Please also make sure you're downloading our episodes. That's the best way to help us is to download our episodes and also like leaving a nice review so other people could find us.
Send us an email with a case suggestion or a story to bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com. Don't forget our intro music is made by our awesome cousin Vinny. Find him on all music platforms. Tell a friend, tell people about our podcast. We would love to reach more people. So, word of mouth, people. And tune in next week for our next episode.
Bye.
We love you.